What is going on, everybody? I'm Brandon Donlon, and you are right to correctly assume that this is different than the other ones that we've done the past 3 days. My whole experience can be summed up on Survivor. It's like, oh, this is a little bit different than I thought it would be, but we're going to go with it. We've got 7 more of these Encore episode recaps left, and we're just going to see what happens. The hosts are going to change. The guests are going to change. We're going to have fun. It's Rob as a podcast. You never know what you're going to get. Expect the unexpected. I think that's our thing. I think we patent that. We have 2 great guests that I'm so excited to bring to you. There's somebody that you know and love, joined by somebody that they know and that they love. So without further ado, Survivor 47's Andy Rueda and his girlfriend, Shannon Anderson. Guys, how are you?
How's it going?
Hi.
We are so happy to be here. We are not in charge of programming at RHAP whatsoever.
Yeah.
But we are happy to jump in.
I know you guys were expecting 2 members of the Upolu tribe, but you got us.
We're here. But I don't want to sell Shannon short in any way. This is my beloved girlfriend, but not for nothing, but also very, very close friends with Brandon Donlon.
Yes, we wouldn't be here in this space without Brandon.
We should reintroduce the lore. I've said it a couple times. I want to hear it from your perspective, Brandon.
I was going to tee it up, but I'll listen. I'll take it. So, intro question: how did these 2 lovely people meet? They've been dating for almost now 3 years.
Mhm.
At the Survivor 44 finale, I'm 2 weeks out of Survivor 45. My whole cast is there. We're hanging in the background. Shannon and I go there with my whole group of friends that I arrived there with. I meet Andy that night. Andy was almost on Survivor 45, so we get to chatting. I'm talking to these 2 people on different sides of the bar, and I said, "Hey, why don't you guys just talk to each other?" You know, both I knew from Andy from my brief chat that we had that he was from Boston or lived in Boston at the time, not from Boston, but you were living in Boston.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh, my friend Shannon's from Boston." They
Yeah.
talked, and 3 years later, sometimes your best career Survivor move happens when you're on U.S. soil, when you're at Berry Park in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah. And just want to say, I know Ball. Me and Brandon became friends because of Survivor.
She knows ball. So
Yes,
I'm not
Shannon,
here for no reason.
talk about your origin story with Survivor. How did you get to be in a place where we're chatting online about Survivor?
Yeah, so I loved Survivor as a kid. We watched as a family. Like Boston Rob proposing to Amber is one of my earliest memories as a kid and watching TV. We fell off for a bit to watch American Idol, your second favorite show. And then randomly, I don't know why, like I can't remember why, but I like rallied my family to watch Survivor again during Survivor Philippines. So this era of Survivor means a lot to me because in the time that we watched Survivor Philippines to Survivor Caramoan, I binge watched all 24 seasons before Philippines. So it was a lot. I was obsessed, like completely obsessed. Had a Tumblr, you know.
a Malcolm Tumblr.
Was all in on RHAP since like 2013 or whatever. And then in the pandemic, we met, so almost 6 years ago, through a little game called Sequester.
We'll beep it. Nobody has to hear the game.
And we were sort of thrown into a friend group of people that were similar ages that also loved Survivor, and now we're here.
Yes.
And now we're here. But even before that, December 18th, 2011, on a Wednesday, I think it was Sunday night at the time, the Survivor South Pacific finale airs on CBS. I want to ask both of you, what did you want to happen when you were watching the finale in the real time?
So,
or Shannon, you weren't even there. You were behind.
So I binged it because that was one of that I skipped. But I was a huge Ozzy fan, so I was definitely rooting for Ozzy. He was my favorite player. I mean, well, Malcolm was always my favorite player, but when I rewatched all the seasons, Ozzy is my favorite player. I like something with men with long hair and man buns.
That's me. I'm Ozzy. I'm Malcolm. I'm in
yeah,
the same vein as we
exactly.
all know.
I manifested this right here.
Sure.
So I really wanted Ozzy to win, and the finale is very sad to be Ozzy and to be an Ozzy fan. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was a Cochran guy. I'm a Cochran guy. I want to get into that, but I mean, he was long gone by the finale, but he was definitely my person on South Pacific. I did enjoy the finale when I first watched it. Whether or not I was rooting for Ozzy, I just was really enraptured by South Pacific as a season. And I don't know if it's like highly ranked by very many people, but I think it's one of the most like engrossing and satisfying seasons. And the finale is a huge part of that. And because it's a really good culmination of all these different themes going on with South Pacific in really, really fascinating ways, culminating in Coach losing at Final Tribal Council. As far as Sophie, she definitely has, as far as winner edits go, it's really down there in terms of visibility. And it's just fascinating to see her winning path because on paper, she has a great resume. She is the Dragon Slayer, beats Ozzy, but she's kind of the proto Erica where I feel like the edit goes out of its way to not highlight her pretty much at any stage. And she gets a little bit of a bump in the finale, but
even like barely a bump too. I mean,
barely,
the finale is
a little bump. Yeah.
It's so funny because leading into this, like I'm watching all of these episodes through the lens of like, why are they picking this as one of the 10 Encore episodes? And I initially thought we were building into this, oh, it's going to be this showdown, the Coach and Ozzy, they're back again. But watching this episode, like this is the Ozzy show. I mean, this is maybe the best 120 minutes of how Ozzy performs on Survivor Net, his 4 times being there. And I'm so interested in that.
I was thinking that too, that, I mean, if this was Ozzy's last season, it's such a fantastic way to bring Ozzy back for 50 because that would have been just an amazing casting choice because we see this, he's this close to winning, doesn't get it done, and then we never see him again until season 50. It's like, oh my God, he's back. Can he do it? But no, we already saw that.
Yeah, there was a whole game changer situation.
Yeah, it's interesting that they like he gets a bad rap for not being this like strategist. You know, he comes out and does the same thing each time. But again, in this 2 hours, like you see a whole different side of Ozzy where I don't think that you know that's deserved, that reputation.
Yeah, I mean, it was peak Ozzy at the end of South Pacific, and I feel like, and he states this himself on the show, but it's true. Like, it's kind of Redemption Island is like perfectly built for a player like him to have an avenue to win. And really, like, honestly, especially rewatching the finale, it is a credit to him for him to lean into that and to know that. And I do think it's a form of strategy that he had to leverage Redemption Island in a way that was like super interesting and gave him a good shot of winning. And so, yeah, it really was Ozzy at its peak, which is hard to say because he did so well in Cook Islands.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is, especially rewatching it now, he's hard to root against. And I think it's interesting watching it back now because now this is much different games. I don't want to make a 1-to-1 comparison, but I kind of saw the tenacity that Rachel showed, right? With Ozzy's like everyone wants him out and he keeps winning immunity. And that put a new layer of respect on his South Pacific game for me. Again, not a perfect comparison, but it was, yeah, it's a good episode for Ozzy, even though he doesn't bring it home.
I mean, it's so crushing. You can just see the emotion on his face. He does cry, and I don't know if he cries in any other season. And he beats 8 people in a row to get there. Like, how do you lose if you win not only the 8 challenges on Redemption Island, but then the final 5 immunity? He just couldn't pull it out. But it's such a testament to Sophie for being the one to beat him. Like, that just wins her the game completely, I think, when she does that.
I was so shocked revisiting it that even the tribal council, it was so like the jury was mad at all. Like, it was so a slam dunk for Ozzy, where even the final 5 tribal council, Jeff is saying like somebody's got to beat, like Ozzy's going to win. Like Jeff doesn't normally like get behind the curtain or peek behind the curtain and say like somebody has to, you know, stay here to beat him. I don't know if there's anybody in Survivor history that's been that close and then lose it. I guess Jesse, maybe. Like I don't remember how
As
obvious
far
it
as
was that
a
he was going to win.
slam dunk jury threat, this is really a kind of one of a kind situation. You should see the faces of the Savai jury members when they walk in at the final four.
Yeah.
And Sophie has a necklace, and their smiles just drop. They're so devastated, and they literally give him a standing ovation as he walks out. I think it's one of these interesting situations where it was so everyone knew it. It was super clear. Ozzy knew it. The jury didn't hide it, and everyone in the game knew that he would win if he got to the end.
Yeah.
Because it's such an undeniable sort of narrative that he had.
I could like see Jeff cooking up in his brain as the final challenge is ending. Oh, what if we have a fire making challenge to save him?
Yeah, I was so surprised that there is this at the final four. Coach and Ozzy are deciding whether to 2-2 tie it so that Albert and Sophie were going to be in the fire making challenge. I didn't remember that detail at all, which is so funny. That was something they were conscious about.
Well, it was super fascinating, and that just brings in Coach's game. His South Pacific game is.
He was just saying shit.
He was just saying shit, but it was fascinating. It really, really was. Just to have this like Coach on his 3-season arc coming in to South Pacific, in many ways plays by far his best strategic game and has so much going on. But and people talk about this a lot, but of course, like many people look at South Pacific as the season that Coach lost and like why Coach lost and how. And just it's fascinating how like naked his denial is in terms of like what his game is and what he's able to admit about his game.
Yeah.
It doesn't just start at the final tribal council. It goes into every conversation he has with Ozzy and then with Albert and Sophie. And I feel like from conversation to conversation, like I think he puts his whole heart in it and kind of believes what he's saying in the moment. And yeah, just it in its own way, it is peak Coach, like not in the sense of like the monastic approach from Token Jeans, like that's probably his best episode, but it kind of now I don't know if I felt this way, but after rewatching it, I'm actually really pumped for Coach 4.0. Like this really set the stage.
Really?
Maybe CBS was cooking. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah. Like this is the last time we've seen Coach. It's been 14 years. So like has he actually watched this and realized like where he went wrong? Like he did have strategy there. He just like wouldn't admit that he was actually playing the game and actually like he doesn't have a bone in his body that wanted to backstab people. He just did it and then apologized. But people don't like that. So will he bring a new energy?
It's interesting that he now has the opportunity to play with, like this whole season, he's preaching the honor and integrity. And he gets to the final tribal council wherein some of the jury members, some of the Savai people are like, don't bring it up. Like, we don't want to hear you mention honor or integrity. But now he's going into a season where like a lot of the people that are going to be there, like that's their whole thing also. So I wonder if he does all the work to learn how to not be attached to that, but then he's going to be around all these people who are attached to that to begin with.
It's so interesting to think about the lessons he did or did not learn from his South Pacific game going into 50. My guess is it's really going to be, I don't think he'll probably learn the right lessons. He's probably really excited to see people who kind of represent the old era and honor integrity. And then a lot of these new era players kind of represent that as well. I think from his perspective, this cast aligns with how he can potentially win a season like 50.
Yeah, it is a good cast for him. So if he is going to pull it out.
I would love to
now.
I know.
And Ozzy too. I feel the same about Ozzy, where I think that he's had now a break. I don't remember anything, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you remember anything particular about his Game Changers run? Like I know when he was out, I think he did a lot of what people kind of write off as Ozzy's thing, where he's like good at the challenges, and then he goes early merge. But like I don't think we ever got to see this Ozzy play that time.
Yeah, I don't really remember. It reminds me of Joe Anglim's like Edge of Extinction run, where there was just kind of, it seemed like a lack of adaption.
Yes,
he didn't get a major edit in Game Changers, right? No. But I think he was just kind of pro challenge and wanted to beast it out at the merge, but he lost the merge immunity challenge, right? And then people just took
I believe so, and they kicked him
right away. Yeah,
because he won 9 challenges in a row this season.
And he can do it again. I mean, he's spry. I want to ask you, Andy, like going through the 50 process, did you give any thought to ever having like played with Coach or Ozzy? Like, did you have the simulation of what you would do if you encountered those people?
I'm going to be so real. I don't think I got to a stage where I was able to wrap my head around that in a practical sense. Because it's just so absurd. And like the thought of it still is absurd in my head.
Yeah.
I think the only thought I have is that as a player, I think it benefits you to kind of strip away your preconceived notions about someone, especially from the show and the layer of the edit. If I were to go into 50, I think I would just like, I know all the data of like their resumes and stuff, but I would have just kind of thrown it all away and just kind of started from scratch with people, because I would have hoped that they would do the same for me. Right. So, but that's probably easier said than done. But I don't know. Working with Coach or Ozzy, that's just, they were kind of later additions to the rumor mill. I don't know how much you want to get into that, but
yeah, I mean, what I would love to talk about is just, speaking of, all this talk about Christians, there's a Christian on 50, different kind of Christian, but there's a Christian that will be there with them. So much religious talk in this episode in a way that I didn't remember at all.
It's very unique.
Yeah.
It just feels like when I look back at Survivor seasons, like South Pacific is just so random to me because it's Coach leading a Christian cult alliance and then Ozzy just camping by himself, beasting all these challenges. It's like two completely separate stories going on that do not align whatsoever.
I look at it in a slightly different way because I think oddly, it is one of my favorite parts of the season and what makes it super memorable, the Christian storyline, because like, I'm almost surprised it doesn't surface more, and maybe it does, but the edit decided to highlight it this season, just in the sense that it really, really took on a life of its own, which highlights the social experiment side of Survivor, which you don't get every season. And it was just kind of the right or wrong mix of people for it to become such a dictator of the Apollo tribe, which ended up steamrolling to the end game. I think that, and as someone like, maybe I would not be predisposed to like a storyline like that, but I think what's really cool about it is, again, the social experiment side of it, but also within the decisions that Survivor makes within the context of the edit, and the finale is a really good example of this. I think it does a really good job showing all different perspectives when it comes to how someone might feel about religion being a huge part of the strategy. I think narratively, it's called out at the final tribal council as like people are like, calling out the fact that it's being weaponized. And at the end of the day, like Coach loses and Albert loses, and Sophie, I think, to me, regardless of how much the edit emphasizes it, like to me, she stands out as like the person in the Apollo tribe who infiltrated, like leaning into the fact that this is what's going on. And she just kind of took advantage of it, even though, I don't know Sophie's life, but I don't like,
right.
I get the sense maybe she's, the least religious of them. And so for her to infiltrate that and to be the one to win, I think is a really satisfying payoff to that storyline.
It feels like, in a way that is different than I think a lot of the seasons, the two tribes feel like two like warring families almost. And I think that's because they both lose the same amount in the pre-jury, where they're like neck and neck the entire time. I think they actually like flip back and forth, boom, 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 boom. And I think it's one of the only seasons where that is the case. But I do think that Sophie kind of is the one that kind of aligns more with their values. Whereas even in the final tribal council questions, I think it's Jim who asks Albert, he's like, don't lead with a compliment, like just like answer this bluntly and honestly, like as we all communicate with each other. And
I love this question.
I love this question.
And then the edit goes boing. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I don't remember this being as tough of a final tribal council performance, but Albert had a tough time. And I don't think that's him. I think that his play style works in a lot of seasons. I think this was just not the communication style the other tribe wanted from him at that moment.
Right. And then, I mean, it feeds into, I think the Savai'i being dominating the jury presents like a really unique dynamic where, I mean, they were just like bloodthirsty, hoping that Ozzy would win. And so there, it's kind of like, and this happens sometimes. It happened a lot in the old school, but it's kind of like equilaterally bitter jury, where they're like equally bitter to everybody, which makes it a dynamic final tribal council.
Yeah.
But just, I think that Upolu just left such a bitter taste in all of their mouths that like they were just not inclined to kind of give respect to Albert's game, whether or not like maybe it would have been on the fence and with like a different jury.
You know, Mike Bloom said in his interviews talking with Coach, or Coach says that he had believed for a long time that Ozzy turned the whole jury against him on the night of, you know, day 38 when Ozzy gets back there. Ozzy is the reason that Coach doesn't end up winning, which I don't know after seeing this how much I believe that was the case. But maybe, I mean, maybe it is. I wasn't there, but I'm curious of what you both think of that.
I mean, he was only there for one night, but he spent every day with those people at Redemption Island. So they had to have been comparing stories about what was going on camp with Coach, with the Alliance, and whatnot. And he was probably telling them what everyone else had said. So they just caught up to all of Coach's lies. And
yeah, that's a good point. And I think it compares interestingly to Boston Rob the season before, right? Like, I don't think that the jury was like a lot of Zapatero people, right? I think they were kind of in a similar mindset. Maybe like they didn't want to give credit to Boston Rob, but it broke the other way just because they couldn't help but respect his domination. And I think just like if Ozzy wasn't as big of a factor, it could have broke that way. Even though they were kind of sickened by just the three of Polus getting to the end. Maybe they would have seen the game enough. You know, like Jim Rice, he's like a big like gamer, you know. Yeah. They might have been able to see it through that lens, if not for Ozzy. So maybe there's merit to that. But at the same time, I think that the finale does an amazing job encapsulating why Coach's loss falls on him. Especially with the not just the answers he gives at Final Tribal Council, but like how he truly navigated the end game from a jury management standpoint and what he was willing to own, what he wasn't willing to own. And I think it's interesting. It's really presented that Cochran is his champion on the jury, much like David Murphy was like Boston Rob's. It didn't work out as well for Coach. Maybe because the jury hated Cochran at the time.
That's so true.
Yeah, but
talk about Cochran. I loved seeing Cochran pop up.
I loved seeing Cochran. He was a scene stealer even in the finale to me, even though he wasn't like the main part of it. But it's really interesting watching this finale and just like kind of revisiting Cochran. Again, I was really, really rooting for him when I first saw it. But like Caramone hadn't happened yet, right? So when we get to the reunion, which we told you not to watch, we're gonna get to that. So you didn't watch the reunion, okay? But Jeff really like 4 times he's like, Cochran, like you are polarizing. Some people love you, but a ton of people hate you. How do you feel
at the reunion? He says that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's not the Jeff and Cochran dynamic that we've come to.
Everyone on the internet hates you.
Yeah, it was weird. But it's interesting point in time, like the small period of time post South Pacific, pre his win in Caramoan, and how people felt about it. Again, I think it stems from like his big flip, obviously at the merge, but even though he was long gone, like he was definitely highlighted at certain points in the finale.
It's so interesting that he didn't vote for Sophie, even though Sophie was the one being like, I was the brains behind this operation, these 2 goons. She freaking calls Coach a little girl, which is great. By far my favorite moment of the finale.
That was great.
And Cochran votes for Coach, even though he doesn't own his strategy whatsoever. So I found that to be fascinating.
Yeah.
Is he the only Coach vote? I forget who else votes for Coach.
No, he gets 3. He still
gets
3. That surprised me. Was it Edna and someone else? I forget.
Oh, it is Edna.
I didn't go back and look, but it was.
We haven't even talked about Rick, who is a guy who I think is one of. I mean, I don't know the confessional accounts offhand, but I think he makes it the furthest with getting the least amount of screen time. He's in maybe the top 10. I would imagine. Because even in this segment, before we go to tribal council and eventually vote out Rick gets one confessional. It's like, I might be going home tonight. And that's it.
Rick does have one of my other favorite moments of the episode, when he tells Coach to sit down.
When he gets voted out.
That was phenomenal.
It's so, I wrote in my notes, like the way that when you were in high school, your teacher would have like an advisor in the room and like observing. Like if you're the teacher, you never try something new. You know what I mean? Like you kind of stick to what you know it will work. But it's like how I can't think offhand, but like I don't know how many times in Survivor history somebody has been denied the get up, especially in front of the jury, who you have to then like, it's just such a move that to then have to explain to them like, oh, this is why this person didn't get up. It's just, it's so funny to try that. Like when you have like, 8 pairs of eyes on you, they're about to give you $1 million.
Well, Rick, he is infamous for being, you know how like there are a lot of players who are Jeff's kind of teacher's pets and very like his favorites. Cochran being one of them, obviously. Rick is infamously like the complete opposite, where for years after, Jeff would talk crap about Rick, being like,
is this real? I don't remember this
he's
at
like,
all.
like we have to, I forget the exact context, but he's basically like here's why some people don't get edited, because they give complete BS answers, like absolutely nothing answers. Like that Rick, that cowboy guy from South Pacific, I would throw him softballs and Rick would just be like, I'm good, Jeff. So
now Rick was the winner of the Sears contest to get on Survivors. Like you submitted your audition video on the Sears website.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and
do we
never
think
did
that's
it
why
again. They never did that again. You believe that?
And Sears, spoiler alert, no more of them. They're all gone. Sears is done. I think he took down Sears with him.
Do you think that's what these like? Maybe I'm not super caught up. When people find these idols around the states, what do they get?
It's a
They get
to go to the finale.
You scan a QR code to be entered in a sweepstakes to then be pulled.
They're not going to secretly be the cast of Survivor 51.
No.
I like that idea so much more. I love the Willy Wonka-ification of Survivor casting, where you have to find the thing and then you get to go.
We just
I think you get
for nothing. Great movie.
I think you maybe get some duds in that cast, but I think you get a lot of really fun.
I think that's Twitter would be all for it. Honestly, they're sick of the super fan. Oh no, it is all for super fans.
It's like an endurance challenge.
We're really having to go get it. Yeah.
My friend waited in line for 5 hours. It's an endurance challenge in its own.
It is in the cold.
Yeah, in the cold.
Great job, Survivor marketing. Like that was a home run. They got a lot of people.
Really cool. Really a good thing. I hope they do like the Hunger Games drawing of who gets to go to the finale. I hope they do the names live. If you're watching, anybody who works for Survivor Production, it's yours.
It'll be like the second chance.
You're going. I'd love to hear what you prepared. I was told earlier in the day, do not watch the reunion show because we have a game. So I would love to hear about the game.
Oh, we want to get into this now. Okay.
Let's get into the game.
We were watching the reunion show and we were just having the best time.
It was a great reunion show. It was a very above average because there was a lot going on. If you remember, there was the whole Russell Hantz of it all. Do you remember that? Do you remember what that was all about?
He says to Brandon, like, we're all really mad at you or something. He's very like, we're really disappointed in everything that you did.
That was essentially Brandon's audition tape to be on Caramelin.
Speaking of which, a lot of these South Pacific contestants like were slated to like return. So Sophie came back. Coach, of course, has come back. Ozzy the same. Brandon, Cochran, Dawn.
And Dawn, yeah.
And then when it comes to Cambodia, Jim Rice and Michaela were on the ballot.
Yeah. And
Michaela.
I want to say I voted for Jim Rice.
She liked Jim Rice.
So did I. I love Jim Rice.
No, I was a Cochran fan. How could I like Jim Rice?
I put Jim Rice in there. Michaela Wengel, famously one of the only people from Survivor that I walked by in life, like not at a Survivor sanctioned event, just at the Hard Rock Cafe in Atlantic City.
How did that go?
I didn't engage, but like, wow, it's Michaela. That's so fun. But I do remember Brandon, and this has been said to death, but like Brandon's 19 years old, has this experience very manipulated and that's the game. That's what you sign up for. Gives away the immunity. Underreported story. We all remember the one we all see the one clip.
Right.
But then goes to the reunion, and I forgot that happened until you just bring it up. But then Russell's like, hey, by the way, we're all incredibly disappointed with what you did. That's like it's a hard way to go.
It was a whole Russell spiel. He was definitely like making a meal of the moment. He's like, there's Russell the uncle, and then there's Russell the survivor player. Who do you want to hear from?
What does Jeff say?
Jeff was like, I want to hear from Russell the survivor player. Russell's like, you tarnished the hand's name.
Yeah, and Brandon's near tears on stage.
Yeah, it's a rough moment.
The whole crowd erupts for him.
Are we going to get a moment like that on 50?
It's tough. If we get in that audience, we can do it to somebody.
What's that going to look like? Okay, but yes, it was a great reunion, and mostly because there were a lot of familiar faces in the audience.
We were Leonardo DiCaprio memeing the entire time.
We were doing a lot of this.
Really? Oh, that's so fun.
So we want to quiz you. All right, we'll start with this one. This is kind of
Who is in the audience?
This is really fun.
All right, round one. Who are the 2 Cook Islands cast members in the audience?
Presumably to support Ozzy.
I guess to support Ozzy.
To support Ozzy. Okay. Ozzy's friends. Is it like my instinct is Yule and Parvati, but that feels like a layup. That feels too easy. I want it like for some reason I'm being called to Nate Gonzalez. I'm not looking over at you because I don't want to spoil myself. Let me lock in. I don't think it's Yule. I think Yule at this point is doing other things. I think Parvati and Nate is my final answer.
A good guess.
You're 0 for 2.
You should have trusted your gut. It was Yule. And
it was Jonathan Benner. Legends both.
Yes.
Yule had such an illustrious career after that. I didn't think he had time to out on a Sunday night, on a work night.
They were sitting about 3 rows behind the hand. So
right. It was a cool cameo. It was great.
That tells you everything.
That is so funny.
Wait, actually underrated Jonathan Penner moment. Jeff makes a joke after the hand segment. And Jeff is like, oh, I know the next season. It's going to be Russell on one tribe and Brandon on the other tribe. And the crowd kind of laughs. And then Jonathan Penner's in the back going, no.
That's the guy that I love.
Yeah.
That's the television person that I want.
Incredible.
All right. Round 2. This is going to be very inside baseball, but it is.
Okay.
Brandon Donlon. Which one of the producers was right behind Russell Hantz?
The producers. Is it Clark? Is my final answer?
It was Clark. You nailed it. Clark, you sniped that.
Clark.
That's a guy who I know where he is.
If you know, maybe you know the Clark lore. I can't give his biography right now at the top of my head.
Clark is somebody on the beach. He does the confessionals. Somebody that I really, really enjoy being around. That he's still with the show. He's been with the show for apps.
He was great.
So I'm thinking when I think of producer, I think of Clark.
I had some good times with him. In the middle of Survivor 47, he got into a surfing accident and he knocked his head and he had to leave early, which is unfortunate. And so
interesting.
But I think he's back at it.
And did he try to intervene with? He was. What was his reaction to Russell doing what he was doing?
He just had kind of wide eyes, but he was kind of enjoying the moment. Sure. It was good. He looks a lot.
Oh, interesting. Now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 more for you.
All right, I'm
ready.
Okay, what child actor is in the audience? A current working actor.
Prominently
featured in the audience.
I think I know the answer to this. I think is this the Joey King year? Is this where Joey King is in the audience?
Ding, ding, ding.
It's Joey King. And what's amazing about this is she was 100% hired for pay to be
she was a paid actor.
A kid in the audience.
What do you mean?
Because she's not there with her family.
She's just a rogue kid in the audience?
She gets the whole she's not just sitting there, right? She gets a whole segment. Jeff goes up to her and she gets to ask a question about how amazing Ozzy is, and she delivers the line perfectly.
Yeah.
And so in hindsight, now that she's famous, it's clear that she was a paid actor.
This is a paid gig.
Yeah. She not a parent in sight.
No, there's also 2 kids sitting behind her that are decked out in buffs that don't get asked the question. She's not wearing anything. Sure. But the fact that we do know this is she's sitting next to someone. This is our final question.
Yes. This is the final question. This is a good.
She's sitting next to someone. So my thought process here is that
we'll give you a hint.
I please.
No, go. What's your thought process?
I think that Adam Scott is also at a lot of these finales. I think I don't know if he was at this one, I think Tyler Perry also is seen in the reunion at maybe one or two of them. Is it either of those men?
No, it's not a celebrity. So she's sitting next to, and you have to guess who it is, a Survivor WAG or HAB. So if for those that don't know, a wife and girlfriend or husband and boyfriend, she is sitting next to someone in
Is
the
it-
community.
Is it Amber? I have like a vague memory of it being Amber.
It
No?
is.
No.
It is not Amber. Are
Who
you ready
is it?
Are you ready for your last hint?
Please.
This is not just a Survivor WAG or HAB. This is a Survivor 45 WAG or HAB.
What? Is it Amanda Probst?
Yes, thanks.
Oh, that's so funny.
Amanda Probst. Shout
That
out
is
to
so
Amanda Probst.
funny.
Jeff's niece. Yes. the
And
one and
shout
only.
out to all the WAGs out there.
Yes.
You're one of them.
But
That is
I couldn't
so
believe
funny.
my eyes. Is Amanda and her dad, Jeff's brother, sitting
Sure.
next to Joey King. So that all but confirms that Joey King was hired to be there.
I need to ask Amanda Probst. Amanda Probst knows the answer. Like Amanda
She's
was
probably been to
there.
all of them. She probably doesn't remember
Yeah.
it. Doesn't she go? Yeah.
That
But,
is so funny.
Yeah.
I have to immediately, spoiler alert, Austin will be joining us on one of these episodes in the next couple of days. So
Shout out
I'll
to
bring it up then.
Amanda Austin.
So
how did
wow.
you do? You had you scored 0, 1. You got 1
He
point.
got 2 points. He
2
got
points.
Joey King. He got Joey.
the
Oh, yeah,
Clark,
yeah, 2 points.
Clark and Joey King, that's all I've ever needed.
We didn't talk about the most iconic moment of the episode.
What was it?
It's when Sophie drops her pieces and she says, "Albert, pick up my damn pieces."
Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know if that gives me spoiled at all. Like I don't think that's I think that's so funny. Like that just is to me that is so like played for
Yeah.
laughs that it was so weird to me that Ozzy was taking it so serious.
Spoiled is a weird word for her. Brat is a weird word. I don't think that comes across in the edit, but I think that's partially because like she just doesn't get much character content.
Yeah.
And I think Sophie, who's like go back to all of her RHAP podcasts. She's like super amazing, 3-dimensional person. Like got so much character, right? But I think that at that stage of her life, when she got on, I don't know if they knew what to do with her in terms of an edit,
It is.
especially as a winner.
It's easy to forget she was 21 years old at this
Yeah.
time, so she is very young.
And Brandon
And
Hans
so
is too.
she
It's great.
does act like a 21-year-old. So
Yeah.
Right. Especially
Yeah.
she had a tough moment at the final 5 tribal council as
Yeah.
well.
But all that to say, I'm just so glad that we got to see Sophie back again, because for me, this episode was pretty much all about Sophie and Ozzy.
And Coach.
And well, yes, and Coach.
But not Rick.
But I'm glad we got to see
Not really
her
Rick.
again before Coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She wins in an interesting spot in Survivor history where you have like Natalie White who wins before her, who doesn't get much of an edit either. And you have your Parvati who gets like a completely different kind of edit than they would have ever given Sophie. And they are, I think still it's a work in progress of how to edit this personality type, where if you're not like over the top funny and you're not over the top one thing, that they do have a harder time. And it's, I mean, you, Andy, said the Erica conundrum. It's a similar thing to that, where it's like, we're not sure exactly like what to do with this person.
It's also really similar to Erica in the fact where it falls upon essentially the super fans to sift through the edit and pull the pieces of their games together to recognize how good those games actually were. So that's true of Erica, right? Also true of Sophie. Like, I think her playbook was amazing, especially for the meta of Survivor at that time. To jump in with the Majority Alliance, who I think she had to put in some real social effort to like mesh with those people that she was with, but she made the best of it. She found a strategic partner with Albert who she could like talk strategy with. They were in position to make the decision throughout the post-merge of whether or not they were going to like let the Savai in or not. They decided not to because they called their shot that Coach was beatable at the final tribal council. And she won all those challenges along the way, including like the most important one to keep Ozzy from winning. So the edit obviously doesn't celebrate her win as much as it
I also
should.
think it's an underreported story that she is the only woman there in the final 6. It's her and 5 men. So in terms of like Survivor edit wise, that's That's really hard. But
It's a hard spot to
also,
get any content for sure.
that would never happen today.
Especially with a lot of those guys. Like,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
Coach and
I mean, you're
Ozzy.
getting both Coach and Ozzy, who are
Yeah.
dominating the airtime. You just got rid of Cochran, who's also dominating the airtime.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very interesting, and I do think that they learned a lot in between her first and second time, where it does seem like we got a little bit more of Sophie the person in Winners at War. Almost which of like, if 50 was happening and they were casting winners from
Yeah.
pre 41, I would have loved to have seen her back out there.
Yeah.
I want to close. We have a couple, so it's like a couple that I matched up, mind you. I think we should end with like a wholesome. Let's just hear your favorite thing about each other. And we'll start with Andy. Andy, go first.
Starting with me.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day coming up.
Valentine's Day is coming up. What are we gonna do on Valentine's
We
Day?
don't have plans yet.
Now we're going to Broadway.
What do you
We
see?
are? Who's paying for that?
I'll pay for it. We haven't picked the production yet. We haven't picked the show. We haven't picked the showtime yet. But
You're going to the theater.
we're gonna go to the theater.
Okay.
I've said this on podcasts a lot, but I just have so many favorite things about Shannon, who's been the best thing that ever happened to me. And and I said this on Pod Friends this week, but so much of what I have now in my life is tied into not just Survivor, but like the fact that Survivor was a conduit to bring us together is just mind blowing. Before I even went out to play myself, she's the most supportive person in the entire world. We're so compatible. Like it's really mind blowing. Brandon, you were cooking when you introduced us. It just, I couldn't think of a better match. Her being so supportive throughout this whole roller coaster that we've been on since we've met has just been super incredible. And she's amazing. And we kind of skipped over like her freaking legacy. She's such an amazing gamer and strategist. I know that you've been in a LRGs and ORGs with her, right?
Sure.
She's a killer.
Sure.
She's a killer.
Sure.
Oh wait, this is a fun fact. You ready for this fun fact?
Please.
She did an LRG once. This is before.
Oh yeah.
She was aligned with none other than Survivor 50 contestant Rizzo.
Yeah.
In an LRG. They voted together. Yeah.
I did do an LRG with Rizzo.
What's the whole
back in the day?
What was the whole scenario?
So if you're in the tri-state area and you want to find an LRG to do, I highly recommend competitive events hosted by my dear friend Johnny Stockton. You can find them on Instagram. But so I ended up in the same game as Rizzo and we did play together. We were on the swap tribe together and he voted with me. So thank you, Rizzo. But I was blindsided by 2 idols to get me out.
By Rizzo?
No, he voted with me, but
sure.
there was 2 people on the outs and they played 2 idols to get me out. So that is the lore. And we love Rizzo. We see him all the time. So
yes, we do.
But my favorite thing about Andy is he's just my best friend and he's so just caring of me and loving and takes care of me in ways that I never thought anyone could. And it's just the light of my life. Makes me smile all day, every day. I don't know what I would do without him. He's just so sweet, so supportive. Just the best.
Wow, sweet.
Now, if anybody from the episode of Survivor that we just watched was going to preside over your wedding, who would you want that to be?
Oh God!
You can have any of the 18 because you did watch the reunion. So if you want Papa Bear, he's on the table.
Papa Bear
would be great.
He was a scene stealer in the reunion because you know how like the votes are cast and then the pre-jury comes out. Papa Bear was like, he was jumping up and down. He was like the life of the party. He really made us remember him for sure.
Yeah,
sure. Would it be Papa Bear?
We got Shemhar. She'd spit some nice poetry at us.
She would.
She would be a heck of an officiant for sure.
Yeah, in terms of who you want as an officiant.
What about Stacy? She has a way with words, as we know. It's another guy.
I do think that's the right answer. I think Stacy. If I could recommend anybody, I would recommend Stacy. She's coming with something good. This has been such an amazing time. I'm so glad that you got to listen to this, listener. We've got so many more of these coming up. I hope you stay tuned to listen for the other, I guess what, now 6 Encore episode recaps. But I will throw it again back to Shannon and Andy. You guys have anything to plug? Anything you want people to check out?
This is so much fun. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Brandon, for having us.
We had a good time.
It was so great to hang out with you.
We had a good time. I hope you did too. The fact that we're following literal Survivor 50 contestants in RHAP is a decision we'll all have to live with for the rest of our lives. But
Yeah,
selfishly, we had a really good evening.
I know you guys weren't expecting us, but we had a blast.
I had so much fun. And I think that the listeners did also. Like, how often you get to hear of like such an organic love story from the thing that we all love. I mean, that's very, very special. And you'll hear from all of the people here throughout season 50 on Rob as a Podcast. Rob just released a book. Go pre-order his book. The Tribe and I Have Spoken. That's important. But until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great rest of your night. Goodbye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.